Hey guys, it's Bash Bender, and I'm bringing you my completely spoiler-loaded review of the Deadpool movie. If you haven't seen the movie, you may want to turn this video off because I'm going to go into depth about things that happen in there, and you probably don't want to hear about it. So I'll give you a couple seconds to back on out of here. Three, two, one. All right, here we go. So just got back from seeing Deadpool. Really happy about the movie. The turnout was great. I guess the best way for me to get into talking about it is at the beginning, and by the beginning I mean the origins. So that would be X-Men Origins Wolverine. If you guys have seen that movie, that was the first time that we got to see Wade Wilson slash Deadpool, and it started off really well. Ryan Reynolds was playing Wade Wilson, and if you guys know Deadpool, he is the merc with the mouth. He's always talking. He's always got something to say. And that's the way it all started off in the movie. And then that thing at the end happened that should never happen again. That happened. None of us were happy with that. If you've ever been a Deadpool fan in your life, I know you weren't happy with it either, and yeah. So with this, we got to see the Deadpool that we deserve. As a matter of fact, the way it starts off, at least, the actual opening of the movie is Deadpool in and of himself. It starts off with a bridge scene, all the opening fun stuff, and then it gets to the opening credits. And the opening credits were perfect in and of themselves because it wasn't giving you out any names of the producers and stuff like that. It was, directed by some douchebag, and then featuring a gratuitous cameo, which I will get into later. It had Deadpool written all over it, and then it even had a nod backwards with Ryan Reynolds, being that there was a Green Lantern trading card in there, and we all know that movie was pretty god awful as well. And then actually, even in the trailer and in the movie, Ryan Reynolds is talking about how his costume shouldn't be green or animated, and it was great that they did that. A lot of humor in this movie, a lot of humor, a lot of action. It's actually one of the better Marvel movies that's made by Fox that they've had recently. Fox doesn't do, at least in my opinion, they don't do all that well with their Marvel movies, and that can be a good thing because as you all know, that new Fantastic Four movie flopped majorly. I believe it actually got a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes, and because of it, there are rumors going around that Fox is talking to Marvel Studios, Disney, and possibly selling that franchise back to Marvel. So, at least the Fantastic Four will be under the nice Disney umbrella, and that's really exciting. I really wish they could do that with all of their franchises because they're not all that good. Some of them are better than others, but they're just not on par with what Marvel Studios and the bankroll that Disney has to put in their movies. And some of that is actually prevalent in this movie. You can definitely see points where there were more than likely budget cuts. I did do a little reading on it before I made this video, but after I saw the movie. So it makes a lot of sense. I'll get into a couple of the budget cuts a little bit later. But so the movie starts off, badass action scene, and then it starts to explain Deadpool's origin. His new origin, I should say. And it's all done in the form of flashbacks. Like, he's actually, getting thrown into a car, and, it stops, mid-scene, and then he's like, well, this is one of the points that I went wrong, and then, it jumps back to him before he became Deadpool, when he was just Wade Wilson. He is a mercenary. He even says he's a mercenary. It was done very well. As a matter of fact, if they would have not done Deadpool in the X-Men Origins movie, then you would never know that any of that happened. If they would have left off with where Wade Wilson was part of the team in Africa with Wolverine and Sabretooth and all them, and then it just picked up right here, that would have been the best way to go. It would have been a perfect transition, and we don't have to worry about that grotesque-looking Deadpool thing, which that also made a cameo. That was really, really cool. I was happy about that. Wade Wilson has a little action figure of that grotesque Deadpool in his apartment, and he's like, "Oh, hey, look at that," Um, and then they also nodded back to that another time when he was going through the transition, becoming Deadpool, and Ajax had said, well, I should sew your mouth shut. He's like, no, don't do that, because obviously none of us want to see that. We want to see Deadpool in all of his glory, just talking shit while throwing bullets all over the place, which he does. And I mean, he even had those marked bullets because he only had 12 left, and he's just counting them down. And oh man, it was like that was definitely the Deadpool that we all deserved, and we finally got it. I was very happy with that. Um, I was also very happy with Colossus. That was, in my opinion, not only a good supporting character in this movie, but just the best we've seen out of Colossus yet. Because we have seen him a couple times before. He was in X2, he was in X3, but he's just kind of like a guy that's there that turns into metal. But this Colossus, not only was he the size that Colossus should be, I mean, the guy's name is Colossus, he's huge. But this was the first time that he spoke with a Russian accent, and Colossus is from Russia. So it was real nice to see that. When Angel Dust is coming at him, like that's another nice part. He's kind of a gentle giant. That's just the way Colossus is, and he was portrayed very well. Angel Dust is about to approach him, and he's got the handcuffs, and he's like, "I do not wish to hit a woman." And she just knocks the shit out of him and sends him off the screen. And he just basically does what he has to do. And then, a little bit later, after the big fight scene, Deadpool's got the gun on Ajax, and, he's 4 or 5 moments. That's all you have. And, obviously Deadpool just blows the guy's fucking brains out, which was just genius, and then Colossus starts throwing up. Oh, that was wonderful. But no, Colossus's character was it was done very, very well. I was happy with it. I would like to see more of Colossus in the future. If he is going to be in the Apocalypse movie, then this is the kind of Colossus that we need to see. Other things that we get to see was Deadpool's healing factor, which, believe it or not, was actually done a little bit better in the X-Men Origins movie because he heals very, very fast. Most speculate that he heals faster than Wolverine does. And in this movie, it wasn't necessarily like that. I mean, you saw him break his hands and his leg, and then, that was kind of whatever. But after he had that bullet hole in his arm, in the other movie and with Wolverine, it would have just, closed right up. And with Deadpool, he was able to look right through it. After he cut his hand off, it took a little while for it to grow back. But he did have that awesome Deadpool-style joke where he's like, "It's going to feel so huge in this hand." Yeah, I was very, very happy with that. Lots of humor, lots of action. And then, your gratuitous cameo that was mentioned in the beginning, when he first becomes Deadpool and he's all, tore up and stuff like that. He goes to the strip club, his girlfriend's there, and Stan Lee is the MC at the strip club. So you get to see some titties, some ass, and Stan Lee. Really can't go wrong with that. I was very happy with that scene. And then, you move on to, these big fight scenes, things like that. There is the possibility that we got to see a broken down helicarrier in the background. That's speculation that I've read about, but does make pretty good sense. That way there's kind of some element of all the other cinematic movies being incorporated with this one, even though Marvel Studios and Fox Studios make separate movies and they have, their own franchises. And actually, as far as that goes, there's something else you get to see in there that you won't see in the Disney Marvel movies, and that is they mentioned the word mutant at one point, and that can only be done by Fox. I don't know if you guys know this, but because Fox owns the rights to the X-Men franchise, they also own the rights to the word mutant. That is why in the Avengers 2, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who are Magneto's kids, are not called mutants. They called them miracles. And then there was that one line where they're like, oh, and there's nothing more dangerous than a miracle. And like, yeah, okay, whatever. Um, but that's one of the reasons that I would like to see these Fox movies go back to Marvel Studios, because not only would that bring everything under just one umbrella and we could all just have one Marvel Cinematic Universe, but on top of that, they have the better bankroll. Their movies definitely have a lot more effects and all that stuff. And in Deadpool, you see a bit of that. And actually, it's even mentioned at time. One thing I did not like when Deadpool is going through his transition. Now, I mean, in the comics, that was done with the Weapon X program, and not so much in here. They made something that was similar to it, but they had to create a mutation inside of him, and they didn't even show you any of that. Like, you couldn't just show me for a half a second, like some DNA cells mutating. I mean, like they do that on TV shows, like I don't know, House, and you mean to tell me you don't have a bigger budget than House? On top of that, Deadpool actually even called it out at one point. He goes to Professor Xavier's school, and Negatonic Teenage Warhead answers the door, and he's like, "Why is it that every time I come over here, there's only two of you here? Could the studio not afford another mutant?" Just kind of nod that they probably cut the budget on things like that. And then there was one that I read about as well. There is that scene towards the end where Deadpool gets all of his guns together, absolutely everything, and then he has that joke with Blindell about there being a suitcase full of cocaine hiding in the apartment somewhere, because she had said earlier in the movie how she missed cocaine, and that was really funny. But he forgets the guns, and I was reading that there was supposed to be a huge gun battle at the end of the movie, but Fox didn't shell out the money for it. There was no budget, so they cut the whole thing out, just did the sword fights and all that stuff that they did, and just had Deadpool forget the guns. Really cutting corners there, and it's just why I would like to see these Marvel movies from Fox go back to Marvel Studios where they belong. Bigger budget, everything under one roof. It'd just be so much nicer that way. But all the same, I really like the movie. And then you got that awesome after credits scene, complete ripoff of Ferris Bueller saying like, "Hey, the movie's done." He's got the same robe on and everything. And then it even ends with him going, "Chicka." Really, really great movie. I was very happy with it. If I had to rate it myself, I would rate it a 4 out of 5, simply because of like the budget cuts, things like that. But the dialect was great. The characters were played very well. They introduced characters that I didn't even know that well. I don't know much about Negatonic Teenage Warhead. Really don't know much about Ajax. I only know a little bit about Angel Dust, but she was also played very, very well. Except that she was gorgeous. And Angel Dust was one of the Morlocks that had to live under the streets because they were just mutants that couldn't hide amongst normal people and all that. But at the end of the day, I really like the movie. I really think you should check it out. I really hope you have already, but I'll definitely be seeing it again. You guys probably should too. Looking forward to a sequel, especially if Cable's going to be in it. That'd be awesome. But yeah, I was very happy with it. So I'm going to close this video out. Shoot me a thumbs up or subscribe. If I left anything out, go ahead and leave it in the comments down there. And yeah, game on, guys.